I feel like I should finish this. Should I finish this on the camera? I feel like I'm in a rush now. Jesus. Is it mukbang if we don't finish the meal? I don't know. Hello YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name's Aaliyah. I'm the one behind the account of the Solar Socials. So I'm going to finally tell you all my birth story. But I'm going to start my oldest because it feels unfair to miss him out. Now he's only 2, so it's only 2 years ago. But it's like a little mini mukbang at the same time because I'm a mom. He's finally sleeping. So I've come to the highest, furthest room from him. I'm going to eat my lunch. I'll show you. And I'm going to chat with you. It's like a mini mukbang, but I'm like, do I really want to eat on camera? I'm going to eat on camera. I'm not really an eater on camera, but here it goes. I've got a cheese and egg salad with salad cream. And then for dessert, I have a Kinder Bueno because I'm starving. I can't wait to eat this. And people might be like, why are you eating a salad with this? But the drink of choice is a cappuccino. So, I'm going to eat my lunch, I'm going to chat with you, and I'm going to tell you about my labour. Anyway, my firstborn, he was born in 2020, so obviously he's a lockdown baby. It was planned and everything like that. We went into lockdown on what, the 17th of March? He was born maybe 2 weeks into the lockdown. Anyway, let's go back. Let's talk about the birth. So, when it comes to pregnancy, and I never knew this until I was pregnant, I was a bit of a hippie. I didn't want any drugs, I just wanted everything as natural as possible. So, throughout the whole pregnancy, I was just trying to be as organic and natural as possible. How is this going to work? Because my mouth's full. I've never seen a mukbang. I'm guessing that's what I'm doing because I'm eating. I'm trying to. Is it eating with your mouth full? Is it not? I don't know. But I would never normally eat with my mouth full. But if I don't, we'll never get this story out there. My baby was due on the 26th of March. That would have made him full term 40 weeks. I was having a home birth, so I had my pool. I had everything set up. Pool, like a mattress bed. They send you like some drugs. They ask you, do you want drugs? And even though you say no, they still send you drugs. They send you like the injection, you know, to get the placenta out quicker. They send all of that to your house, gas and air and everything. So all that was under the stairs, all prepared. Then I got to 41 weeks pregnant and I was just over it. I remember I could feel like some tweaks and twinges in the morning, but Far had been like so anxious about this whole thing. I'm guessing obviously it's both our first time, so he was really anxious. And I remember him writing a note saying wife in labour and then putting it in the back of his phone, so if he had to dump the car, he would put that in the car. I didn't want any sweeps, I didn't want any inductions, nothing. They said to me at 41 weeks, you need to have a sweep. So the day after I turned 41 weeks, I'd need to have a sweep. So we're on the Sunday, 41 weeks exactly. Went for a walk and I could feel like these twinges, but I didn't want to be. This is no shade whatsoever, but I did not want to be one of them women that go there, are convinced they're in labour, then they say, no you're not. So I was like one of them where I thought, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm in labour until I can feel like a header. So I don't know, I don't want to speak about it until I know it's for sure, because to me also that's mentally exhausting, like thinking it, going there, you're not, and then it's like, okay, now we go back. So I tried to ignore it. Anyway, we're walking on this walk, and I remember it was raining so hard, but it just felt like something was between my legs, and I just thought maybe the baby's really low, and I'm walking and walking and walking. Now, I've never shared this fact. I've never made it public, but I will now. We do our walk, and nothing. Like nothing, like I've got pain, but it's not the pain that I thought that labour would be. So we need to do something more. We need to make this more active. I had a ball that I'm bouncing on, everything. Anyway, don't shame me, but I'm trying to be honest. I'm not going to make a channel and not be honest. So I said to Far, look, I'll be honest, we got home from the walk, we had a shower, it was about 5 o'clock, and I was like, look, this baby's got to come out. I looked at Far, he looked at me, he was like, what? And I was like, get on the floor. He was like, what? I was like, get on the floor. He was like, oh, no, 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 I'm not trying to hurt no babies. I don't really, I was like, get on the floor now. We need to do it. We need to do it. And we need to do it now. And I had read that, I'm sorry, this is a bit graphic, but I was like, I had read that the longer the sauce is on the top, the more it opens or lubricates or engages or encourages the cervix. So he's like, this poor man is like, ooh, and I'm like, just get down there now. I've had enough at this point. So we do the deed. And then it's finished, and I'm like, stay there, don't move. Like, it's gonna kill me to say this, but it's not a birth story if I have to tell the truth. So here we are in this position on the carpet, like the least romantic situation you've ever seen in your life. And I'm like, right, let's hold it for 5. It was like, now I'm saying it out loud, it sounds ridiculous, but I was convinced we needed to hold it for 5. So we held it for 5. Anyway, that was over. It was time to get up. When we got up, he goes, there's blood. I'm like, oh no, maybe I was a bit aggressive. Yeah. So then I call triage, which is like the hospital, and I say, look, like I'm 41 weeks today and there's blood. So they say, okay, you have to come in, but you have to put a pad on to catch all the blood so we can see how much blood. And I'm like, but can I not have a shower? I knew I'd just done the deed. They didn't know I did it. I'm not trying to get anyone to investigate my private area when I just did the deed. But equally, I didn't want to do a sneaky wipe or wash and then jeopardise the health of my baby. So I'm like torn, because if it wasn't a baby, I won't lie to you, I would have just had a shower and pretended I never did. So I said to Far, can you not just give me a sneaky shower? And he was like, no, let's not risk it. So we went to the hospital. Now, the drive to the hospital was probably the most relaxed I've ever been. I hate Far's driving. He drives too slow, he brakes too harsh, he accelerates too quickly when he's setting off. It's very jerky. But I'm just like, I'm just thinking, like, be calm, because if I'm not calm, he's not gonna be calm, and he's probably gonna kill us in this car. So I'm just like this, and then we get to the hospital. Anyway, it's time to park. He's clearly nervous, but he's not saying he's nervous, because the bay was like that. So let's say there's like 3 cars at one side and 2 cars at the other. It was one of those kind of bays where you need to like maybe do like a bit of a 3-point turn, reverse it back. He did about 65 points. And he's still not got the car where he needs it to be to reverse it back into the bay. So I went, don't worry, you just get out, I'll park the car. He got out. I remember him standing in the car park looking at me, and I'm just like, you know when you just think, if I explain what really is going on right now, this might go left. So I parked the car for him, and then because of COVID, he couldn't come in. So he sat back in the car, and I was like, look, give me 10 minutes and I'll let you know. I went inside the hospital. They put me in triage. Now triage, you go there from like 20 weeks pregnant or 26 weeks pregnant onwards. So there's people there with tiny bumps, you know, not even half, well, obviously they're halfway, but nowhere near ready. Just going to check for movements and things like that. They sit me there. And I'm like, I don't think I should be sitting here, little lady. She goes, no, sit there, we'll be right there with you in a second. So I'm sitting there, then I'm like, I sit in this chair. This is meant to be a mukbang and I'm not even eating. This is a lot. But they sit me in this chair. This is difficult to do, like eat and talk. It's a bit rude, isn't it? But serious. So they sit me in this chair, and I'm looking at this woman, and she's got the bump the size of like a garden pea. So I'm like, I don't think I should be sitting next to her. I'm going to do something. I don't know what's going to happen, but my body feels like the exorcist is taking over. Like, that's the best. People are like, don't you worry, we'll check on baby. They were so chill. Like, I'm thinking, anyone would think I'm not 41 weeks pregnant right now. Next minute, I'm on this chair and no, please. Please, someone has to help me. But equally, because I'm stone cold sober, like no drugs, I can't stop laughing at myself at the same time. So she goes, right, let's have a look at you. Can you have a wee? And when I weed, a humongous blood clot came out. So at that point, I'm a little scared, because everybody knows bleeding in pregnancy is not, you know, not the dumb thing. I'm trying to eat while I talk to you. Please know that I would never eat with my mouth full before if it wasn't a mukbang sitch. Anyway, she does that, she checks that, she sees the blood. She says, let's get you on the bed. She's like, I don't think we'll be having a baby anytime soon. Most mums are in labour for about 3 days. I'm like, no, sis, get your hands down there. I'm telling you, there's a team down there. So she checks. She goes, oh, we're 4.5 centimetres. That's considered active labour. Anything past 4 centimetres is considered active. You can call your husband. He comes up and he's like, oh, and he's got like, I remember he had this hoodie on, this gilet on top of the hoodie. And I'm like, it was so warm in there. I'm like, take your jacket. Anyway, she goes, would we like drugs, Aaliyah? And she kept on saying my name wrong. That really pisses me off, especially when I correct you. But also when you, I don't know why, but when you're in the amount of pain that labour causes you, the smallest things really annoy you. Like, just call me by my name. And it felt like she was more happy to see my husband than me. Which is fine. I'm not jealous. I mean, like, for safety reasons. Like, come on, do your job first, then flirt with him if you want to flirt with him. I'm like, I'm not having any drugs. She looks at Farham. Is this first baby? And he's like, yeah. Obviously, you all know him by now. He's very softly spoken. She went, she's going to need some drugs. Now, I wrote something out before I had a baby, which was no drugs, must be recorded, and I can't remember what the other one was, in water. That was my only preference. Oh, nobody tell me the gender, let my husband tell me the gender via the name. So we had 2 names, a boy name and a girl name, and he would tell me what they were by using their name. I couldn't have a water birth because of the blood. They can't manage the blood while in the water. So that was out the window. So I just had to sit on this bed or lay on the bed or whatever. So he looks at me and I say, I do not want any drugs. I say, turn on that camera. So I make him turn on the camera on his phone to record me, to say, I do not consent to any drugs, because I thought they were going to drug me because they just didn't want to hear me, like, you know, in full-fledged labour. So anyway, I'm like, I remember forwards then, I'm just grabbing him like between where his zip was on his gilet, and I'm just like, like this. But I wasn't crying, I was just like, it was like an awful, the contractions just feel like, I don't know, it's in your back though, it's your back. Oh my Jesus, your back. It's in the back, the pain is in the back. It's not vaginal pain. And nobody says that. Everybody says, oh, it burns when the head comes out. What about before the head comes out? The back. So she comes back. She tries to say, if we don't want an epidural, what about gas and air? I don't want drugs at all. It's about 9 o'clock. I'm 6 centimetres now, and this is when when I got to about 7 centimetres, the pain just ramped up like, I think I've got a pretty good pain threshold, and at 7 centimetres that pain went to different levels. I almost felt like I was being tortured by my own body. I felt like my mind and my body and my soul was being tortured. I looked at Far and I was like, do I have drugs? She could see me looking at him in the eyes to think, should I? She goes, I'm telling you, it's going to be impossible for you to do this without any drugs. Second that word, them words left her lips, I said, you know what? No, I don't want any drugs. And that was silly of me. That was so stupid of me. But when somebody tells me that, it sounds ridiculous now, but I would have died proving my point to her. Pathetic, I know. But don't tell me what I mean. I just felt like, why are you bashing me? Like, why are you bashing me? Let me live. So I thought, that's it now. I've got to stick with it. I've got to stick with it. She's told me I can't do it. I've got to prove I can. Not that you get any shiny sticker at the end. So we're about 7 centimetres and it's about 11 o'clock. At this point, I'd been awake for over 24 hours. I'm just trying to breathe and just crack jokes. I'm just joking as much as I can to just like bypass any of the emotions. I remember like saying, oh, we got to about 1 AM and I'm in agony. And she goes, let's check you again. She checks. I'm 8 centimetres. And she goes, oh, but the waters still haven't gone. I can feel the waters bulging. We might have to break them. I'm thinking, oh, because I just thought intervention. Intervention, please no interventions. So back to my salad. I keep forgetting to eat, don't I? My coffee's going to be cold. This is difficult. This is extremely difficult. So anyway, she goes, we'll get I think it's a consultant. It has to be someone higher up to break the waters, I think. We're waiting for this woman to break the waters for about an hour. Anyway, at this point, I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I don't know what came over me. I was possessed. But I went from handling it like an absolute champ to standing on the bed and saying, it was almost like I had a fire between my legs and I was trying to just get my body away from it, although it's attached to my body. That's the best way I can explain it. I've got a fire, but I think the fire's on the floor, but it's not. So no matter where I move, it's burning me because I can't stamp it out, you understand? So I'm on the bed and I'm like, and I put my hands over the top of the headrest so my bum's like in the air, but I didn't care about exposing my body. Like, some people are like, oh no, I do not care. Like, I don't care about that. They put them silly bands around you that you have when you're getting measured, so like the pink and blue one. Now, how are you in labour, like, standing up, sitting down, with them on, they get falling off, so they ended up putting that clip in. As soon as they did it, I was about 8 centimetres, and I said, why did we not do that 5 hours ago? Because we don't need... Ridiculous. I think that's the most silly thing ever. But anyway, I'm on the bed and I'm like, no, 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 no. This baby's coming now. I need the toilet. I need the toilet. And they're like, no, you're just going to have the baby in the toilet. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I need to urinate. I needed to urinate. They're like, no, you're not. You're going to go in there. You're going to try and have a poo and the baby's going to come. So I'm like, no. I look her for. I said, tell them I need to urinate. Like, no, no, no. I think she needs to urinate. So they get me up and they're like, towing and throwing between each other to say, do you think she needs to urinate? Do you think she doesn't? All this time I'm begging them, please, I'm going to wet myself. The pressure was killing me. What happened? Yeah. I wet myself. I was so angry at that point. Because I get precaution. Go and get one of them little cardboard hats, for goodness sake. Don't let me urinate on myself like I'm some sort of animal. After I wet myself, she lets me go and sit on the toilet. When I sat down, when I told you I couldn't get back up, I could not stand up for my life. I had to have like 3 of them lift me up. I couldn't get up. The pain was just forcing me down. I come back in. I've still not got waters broken at this time. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I say, no, the head's coming out. She checks, you're 9 centimetres, let's get these waters broken. I'm like, what? We're still breaking waters at this point. Like, we're going to have to leave the waters. The waters are going to have to wait. I'm like, So as soon as she says we're going to have to break them, and I know, like, I'm in this extreme pain, I'm telling them, no, the waters will wait. The waters will break on the way down. She goes, no, I need to get the woman. I'm like, no, no, no. I just begin to push. I honestly, I'm 9 centimetres. I begin to push because I'm thinking they are not bringing in. So I'm like, I'm trying to replay how frantic it was in there. So I'm pushing. No disrespect, no shaming, no body shaming, no image shaming, but I have to describe it the way that you can draw this image in your mind. This Mrs. Trunchbull, 7 foot woman with more hair on her arms than I have on my head comes in. Far looks intimidated. I was like, what do you need to do? She goes, break your waters. I look at her and say, oh no, she's not. She's not. No. So then I look at her and he looks at me and I think, you know what, it's almost over. So I said to her, let this contraction pass and then I'll lay her back on my back. At this point, I'm like on my knees on the bed with my bum in the air. She goes, okay. She says, okay. She literally flips me over like a turkey. Bang! I thought I died. I thought I was dead. I thought I was dead. I'm not joking. I was violated by that woman. I need to eat a little cucumber. Once she breaks them, there's poo in the water. So that was the sign that like the baby's in distress or something. So then it got a bit more frantic. So they're like, push on your next contraction. But I don't know why, but at this point, when they're at the busiest, the contractions, it almost felt like the gap was taking too long. Like, no. And when I tell you that pain, the head wasn't it for me, it's the shoulders, when the baby's shoulders come out. That pain of the baby's shoulders, and it was bobbing in and out. Oh, if someone put a gun to my head at that moment and said bang, I would have said pull the bloody trigger. Like, pull it. I wanted to die. I felt like my body was crumbling into ashes. It was brutal. I'm pushing so hard, but I didn't poo myself in. Surprisingly, I'm pushing because I'm not trying to scream. I'm not trying to do any of that. So I'm just pushing.
Stay there, baby. You're doing a good job.
Oh, the head. Oh, baby, do you want to know what it is? And I say, no, don't tell me. So I'd not look down, but they're just like, oh, thank God. Right, thank God.
Oh my God. Baby.
Let's have a little look.
No. I literally facing the headboard like, and they're like, he's like, baby, do you want to know what it is? And they're all saying, well done, mama. And I'm just like, I'm not disaster. This is not what people say. And then he's like, come on. I'm like, no. They're saying, turn around. I'm like, no. I did not want to see what just came out. Which is mad because I've seen people have babies all the time. Not like see their labour, but I've seen people be pregnant, have a baby, see the baby. In my mind, it was illogical that that was an actual baby with a head and hair and arms. So I'm like, no. And then the cord was pretty short and they needed to like rub him. He'd cried at this point about 30 seconds later, but because the cord was so short, they said, you have to turn around. Now I'll be honest, if that cord was long enough, I would have stayed facing that wall for a good 2 hours. I was traumatised. So they go, turn around, and I'm just like, I turn around and my eyes are closed. I don't want to see anything. I know that sounds mad. And Paul goes, oh, and he's just dying to tell me. He goes, oh, baby, it's died. And I look and I'm just like, what? I would have been less shocked if a handbag fell out of there. I'm looking down. I'm like, I could not fathom what on earth had just happened over that last 6 hours. I didn't understand it. So I gave birth to a baby boy. His name was Jade from Khan Salah at 2:52 on the 5th of April 2020, weighing a whopping £8.11. I just start to cry because he looks like me. He looks like me as a baby. But the lights were bright, there was blood all over the room. It felt like more of an accident in the emergency department than a beautiful labour background that you see on the internet. Like these pictures that they show you on the internet, these people, it's not true. In my opinion, it's not true. And then they say, right, I'll be having the injection for the placenta to come out. And I'm like, I don't really want any drugs. Like, I don't know that without drugs, I don't want drugs. So we wait. You could tell they weren't happy. They were not happy that I made them wait. It got to about 1 hour and 10 minutes. The cord is still, the placenta is still very much in my stomach. And she goes, at this point now we would look at doing the injection. It's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. So Father goes, look, I think after all that, I think she should just do that. So I was like, fine, whatever, do the injection. And then she looks and she goes, right, we've got, I think she said 2 or 3 grade 2 tear-ins. So I'm like, what's that? She goes, well, what I'll need to do is get a flannel, wipe it out, get rid of all the excess blood and things, and then we can really assess it and see if it needs stitches or not. So I'm like, I did not just experience all that, survive all that, to start it all over again. So she goes and gets this flannel. Now in the UK, especially back in the day, remember everyone's grandma having these flannels like over the tap in there. I think they would wipe down their sides with it. I'm going to put a picture right here. Almost like the white one with like the coloured edge. It's rough. It's not soft, it's rough. She gets something looking like that. She goes to wipe. No word of a lie. It felt like she had shards of glass. I said, nah. I sat up, I closed my legs, I said, no. She looks at me, she looks at Far, she goes, Aaliyah, if we don't do this, then you're going to have to go down to a theatre. I said, I ain't going nowhere. At that point, I'd had enough because I thought, I just birthed this baby. You've all been taking the piss about me not having to be able to do it. So I said, I'm not going anywhere. She went, you'll need to go. I said, look, this is my vagina. I've had this vagina for 23 years and I will tell you and I know when there's a problem. There's no problem. I'm not going anywhere and you can't take me to theatre without my consent. I'm not going. That's that. So she kind of like looks around the room. She goes out the room. And Far's like, maybe. And I said, get your private parts out. Let her scrape you with that. As soon as I said that, he understood. Straight away he understood. She said that holding my baby would make that process smoother. So I put my baby on me. I let her try one more time. It made no difference. It actually just put a negative impact and experience between holding my baby for one of the first times. So I said, no, and you don't care about me, so no. Farhan, hold your baby, I'm going to the shower because I can't deal with this. I got in the shower. And I think that they thought that was really abnormal because they're like, you just had a baby maybe 10 minutes ago, why are you trying to get in the shower? But you guys remember, the beginning of this story, I did the deed. I wanted to wash my bloody cookie, bro. And I can't sit in my own sweat and blood and tears and ignore all that. No, that's not who I am. Anyone who can, Blue Peter badge in the post for you, but me, no, I don't work that way. And then anyway, because he pooed, we had to stay there for 12 hours, but luckily, because he was born at 2:52, it was only 3 o'clock in the next day. So because of COVID, Far got to stay with him for about 2 or 3 hours. We had to sit in that dirty labour room. That was the only option we had. So I'm showered, like perching in the corner because I don't want to be anywhere near the bed that's still dripping. I can see blood dripping from some of the mechanisms under the bed onto the floor. So I'm like literally sitting like this. How can you enjoy mum when you're like avoiding like somebody's DNA? I say somebody's mind, but I don't want it on me, ew. So he spends time with him. Far goes home about 6. He's meant to go home, but he sits in the car park calling everyone he can think of. So I call him at 7 and he's still sitting outside. But then we go down to the labour ward and no word of a lie, it was when Rihanna smacked me in the face because obviously at this point I'd not had drugs. I didn't know what it was like to have drugs or labour with drugs. But all the women, this is not a dig, please, I want you to understand, I'm just giving you my descriptive opinion. All the women was comatose. Like they were like out flat on the bed. They looked like they'd been through the mill. Now that's not me being rude, and I know what they just experienced because I had. Obviously they had drugs, so I don't know to what level, you know. But after I birthed him, I felt like a spring chicken again. I obviously I was still quite heavy. I still had a bump, but you know it wasn't about physicality. It was more about mentality, and I honestly felt like a feather. I felt I could just bounce around mentally. I was there. I was grinning. I could eat whatever I wanted. No more health kick. No more 6 bottles of water a day. I was just happy. I was glowing. When I saw that, I was like, thank God. Thank the Lord that she dug me out. Thank you. Because I don't know if I would have coped that well on a come down from this drug. I didn't realise that the drugs that they give you in labour, after labour, you're going to have some effect. I know that sounds silly, but I'm not a drug kind of gal. I didn't know this stuff. So, we're there, 12 hours. I'm literally sitting like this. I got in the bed until it was like more of a reasonable time, because don't forget I'm in a room full of like women who were like, you know, out. So I didn't want to be like that one who was just like, woo, and then like, not there. So I tried to wait for a reasonable time. It got to about 8:50. I got up. I got in the shower, I got dressed, I stripped the bed, I asked the nurse for some more bedding, I made the bed for them, and I just sat in the chair next to the bed, just waiting to get out of there, because all they tell you in pregnancy is your mental health, your mental health, your mental health. So at this point, I felt like my mental health was like a metaphoric glass vase. I had to protect it with all my life, and I knew that sitting in that room any longer was not going to help that. There were babies crying, there were mums crying because they didn't know what to do with babies because they were first time mums, which is all normal. But when you are not in that mental state, then to be put in that is also detrimental for me. So I said to the woman, oh, you know, it's coming up to 3 o'clock. It was about 1:30. Can I leave at 3? Because I'll call my husband now. She goes, just because it says 12 hours, we still need to do your checking out and da-da-da-da-da. I said, oh, hell no, I cannot sit in here. What's annoying me is I'm just taking up a bed. I'm taking up resources for women who clearly need it more than I. It doesn't make sense for me to sit here. It's impacting me. I just want to go home and do what you're meant to do, you know. So she's like, well, you have to wait your turn. It gets to 4 o'clock. Now that's 13 hours. I know you might think I'm being ridiculous, but I'd had enough. I packed the baby's stuff that I'd been using for him back in his bag. I got my suitcase, his bag on my back. I picked the baby, I went to the desk with the baby. And I had him in my arms. And normally, apparently, I've heard you have to show a car seat. But with COVID, they didn't care about any of that. So I pick the baby and I go to the desk and I say, how much longer for these discharge papers? She goes, as long as it takes. I said, well, send them to me in the mail then, I'm off. She went, you can't go. I said, what? I'm going. You cannot leave a hospital with a baby you have no discharge papers for. I said, anyone who stops me, I'll tell them about the birthing experience I just had, pushing his whole body and head out of my vagina. I'm going. I start walking up the corridor because at that point, I could feel myself beginning to crack, understand? Like, I know my limits and that just environment doesn't work well for me. So I start walking up towards the door. No word of a lie, the corridor is only about 4 metres. This woman with nerve comes running behind me. Here's the papers. It wasn't going to be much longer, you know. It clearly was, but because I was going to take him, they couldn't have that. So I took the papers. They didn't give a Took the papers, I walked, went downstairs and forward in the hospital entrance with the car seat. And that was the birth. Our little lockdown baby, Jade Salah, who is now 2, is about to be 3, guys. He's wild. He doesn't stop singing. He has the most wildest vocabulary I've ever. He says some of the maddest things. But you know what? I wouldn't have changed a thing. But what I will say is, that first urination after labour, maybe it was the tears I didn't get sewn up. I wanted to die all over again. But yeah, there's my little mukbang. Here's the plate. I've almost eaten it. I don't know if I did very well at it because I would normally say don't eat with your mouth full, but how do you do this and not have your mouth full? Don't know. My coffee's probably cold. Yeah, but that's motherhood now. It's only motherhood if you're drinking cold coffee. I promise you. Promise. Anyway, I have had a second baby since that, just 5 months ago, so I will share his story. Now, I don't know if I'll do it by a mukbang because this was like a lot of work. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's my birth story. What is yours? Can you relate? Tell me. Don't forget though to like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.